Hey, happy Sunday to you. It's a roasty, toasty one out here today. I am loving the warmth of the sun. So, I wanted to talk a little bit today about the practice of compassion. And we've brought this up in other times that we've come together this way, but it's been on my heart and mind this week quite a bit in a number of different ways. And I am reading about it more in some of the readings I'm doing for my mindful meditation teacher certification course, but also I just come across it in a variety of different ways. And a few inspirations for certain are Dr. Kristen Neff, Dr. Chris Gerber, and also Tara Brach. All of them have really immersed themselves in the understanding of the science, quite truthfully, behind compassion, and what an amazing core part of mental health and well-being it can be in so many ways, right? We learn more and more, but that's a lot of research has been done by Dr. Kristen Neff and Chris Gerber around this. They actually also have a new certification course coming out actually around self-compassion, which is pretty cool. But they've written books, and both of them have spoken many times about it. Tara Brach's book on radical compassion is right alongside Sharon Salzberg's work around loving kindness. The two of them are really well known in the Western teachings around that. So my point around bringing this up is that in order to sometimes find our way towards self-compassion, we have to go about it in a little bit of a roundabout way by building compassion altogether. It's a win-win, quite truthfully. So what are some of the ways that we might increase our overall capacity for compassion? So some thoughts. Your pets. If you don't have a pet, you might think of an animal or quite truthfully a child. The same idea that you have a feeling of care towards that child or towards that pet, and it increases your feelings of kindness and of wishing goodwill for them, right? So those are easier ones to think about, but there are other things that you can do. Practices such as getting outside and taking yourself for a walk. The connection with the outdoors and appreciating nature, the plants, the animals that you see around you, increases your overall awareness of the world around you, and you have a compassion for that. And it lifts a little bit of your connection to it, which then increases the compassion a little bit towards yourself. So it's a win that you get outside, but also that you also increase your connection towards feeling a sensitivity and a feeling of goodness towards those other living things that are around you. Yoga practices, meditation practices are much more direct ways of bringing it in and practicing working through challenging thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations. And with that, you really are practicing compassion in the moment for yourself. And you also have a lot of compassion for those around you. And that's actually one of the most powerful ways to do it, of increasing compassion, is to think about what would you say to a close friend? How would you feel in terms of difficult scenarios around that? So maybe something that you're going through. And if you were advising and now I want to take advising back. If you were sitting with and holding space for and supporting somebody that was going through something difficult, what would you be feeling? What would your good wishes for them be, right? How would you help to go ahead and encourage them to find their path towards their inner wisdom and a path that made sense to them, that would bring them a sense of greater peace and less suffering? And it's amazing how we'll find that way pretty quickly when we externalize the idea of wishing somebody else less suffering. Yet we really have a challenge when we turn that lens back around on ourselves. So, 3 really good questions to perhaps ask around compassion practice to help bolster our own compassion for others overall, but mostly then to increase our self-compassion, which is so valuable in bolstering the amount of time we give ourselves for self-care, the amount of time that we give ourselves to breathe around challenging, distressing circumstances, There's a lot of ways that it shows up in supporting our overall well-being. So the 3 questions are, again, the first one is, what would I say to a friend? How would you show up for that friend? Externalize it, and so that you can hear what you would say and how you would feel. And then maybe gently shift it towards, can I say that to myself? The second question is, what do I need? And if you're in a particularly tough space, that may not be the easiest question for you to answer. It may be that you need to be more specific. What do I need to feel safe? What do I need to feel protected? What do I need to feel motivated? So maybe you add some additional words onto that question to go ahead and make it a little bit more available to you to find your way towards an answer. But what do you need? ... Okay? And the third question is around already recognizing things that you are doing for yourself. How do I already care for myself? Take a moment to acknowledge what's already working for you. Yeah, so, and channeling into that lets you know that number 1, you're capable. Number 2, you already have a sense of what that feels like and making space for it. And knowing that you quite truthfully can build upon that. So that's called internal resourcing, where you recognize the capacity to do it. And it's already something you're doing. So you know how, you just have to go ahead and figure out the what else and what more might you need. So I want to read to you just a really quick quote from Rumi, one of my favorite poets. Your path is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within you have built against it. I'm going to repeat it. Your path is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself you have built against it. So we have a lot of subconscious filters, critical thoughts, negative biases around our worth and around maybe even compassion in and of itself. That it's soft, that it is a sign of weakness or something that we don't deserve. It's a lot of don't deserve talk. Others don't deserve, we don't deserve. Take a moment to get closer to that and take a look for yourself what might be there and what might be getting in the way of you expressing more compassion for others, turning it around to give to yourself. And how might that then help you to recognize what other barriers are you putting up to invite less suffering and more joy into your life? What are the barriers to closer relationships, to love, to joy, to less fear, to less cynicism, to forgiveness? They're all tied together around compassion. That's some juicy stuff to digest, isn't it? So if you want to maybe dig in a little bit more, as I was mentioning, please do look up those authors and speakers I mentioned. They have a wealth of resources. So Dr. Kristen Neff, Dr. Chris Gerber, Tara Brock, and Sharon Salzberg. Yeah, with that, I wish you an absolutely beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you next Sunday. Bye for now.